Hello, hello.
Hello? Hello? Is anyone out there?
It's a mom's night out.
We are so excited to have Erika Hemingway join us tonight. We were introduced to Erika through Rick Sedler, president and CEO of RMS Media Group, and instantly clicked with her. She's first and foremost a mom, but also a strong woman who had to restart both her career and life after divorce, all during the pandemic. Erika is a former radio personality and now works at Northshore Magazine under the RMS Media Group umbrella. We have some exciting collaborations on the horizon with Mom's Night Out and Northshore Magazine. Stay tuned. Erika, welcome to A Mom's Night Out. We're so fortunate to have you talk through your story of reinvention. Erika, welcome to A Mom's Night Out.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having my neighbor.
I know.
We never knew.
Yes, it gets smaller every day. Now that I know where you live, I will be showing up. True.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about where you got to where you are in your career? Like, you were a former radio personality.
I am. And I wish that I still could say that we were doing that and the radio station existed, but I'm so thrilled to be part of the Northshore Magazine family. I started my career out of college. I actually had traveled the U.S. and overseas with my ex-husband, and I got my start in radio actually in Anchorage, Alaska, believe it or not.
Wait, no way.
Yes. So I was fresh out of school. I moved to Anchorage to follow my hockey player boyfriend's dream. And they couldn't pay a hockey player to read the endorsements of whatever the restaurant it was. So they're like, we'll get one of the girlfriends to do it. And I'm happy to oblige. I didn't have a job then. I was fresh out of school. And I was reading commercials for this. It was called Chilkoot Charlie's. It was a bar that had underwear taped to like the wall and
my gosh,
dollar bills stapled to the bar. And
you're sending the clips like back home to your family. Like, yes. I'm doing great.
Listen, I did this 30-second commercial about this bar we're going to go watch the hockey games at. And when we moved back home, I was so fortunate to get a job at iHeartRadio in Boston. And at the time it was Kiss 108, JM 94.5. Now I'm married with my husband. At the time, we're living in North Andover. I'm commuting to Boston. I have this brand new, beautiful baby boy. Rick, the owner of the magazine, starts seeing me at these events coming, and he's like, what is she doing here? And so he's like, you know what? I love your attitude. I love what you're doing, but I'm going to pay you to come and be our video person.
Wow.
And it became this amazing transition for me to be on camera for Northshore Magazine and be at their events and get to know their clients. And I got to host the Bonds event for 5 years in a row, which was so cool. I got to interview hundreds of clients on the North Shore and then be part of the Northshore Magazine family while still doing my radio thing. Now, fast forward, I'm going through personal stuff at home. I want to leave my job. My husband was not helping me. I had a nanny that I'm paying thousands of dollars to, as you guys know. And I had to sell my house. I'm like, I have to figure something out. There happened to be an opportunity on a small local radio station called Northshore 104.9 out of Beverly. And the timing lined up perfectly where the owner of the radio station needed a host and a salesperson. And he was like, I would love for you to come over, come be on this morning show that I'm trying to build. It became this great opportunity to be a mom and sell and play that part. Ultimately, I ended up getting the role of a full-time morning show. It was Erika and Donnie in the morning on Northshore 104.9. It was the coolest thing. And I had Rick from the magazine come in and I'm like, talk about the Bonds event. Talk about what we're doing. Like, let's do this together. We're as a team. Yeah. And then the global pandemic hit. And we had to adapt and figure out what we were going to do. And we went into our basements, and it was so amazing and so difficult at the same time, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
And now that was 2020, 2021. The radio station unfortunately got bought by a Christian conglomerate station, and we found ourselves in different roles. But I ran into Rick Sedler, the owner of the magazine, and I was like, hey, if you ever need video stuff, he's like, actually, yes, we are starting to do events again. We'd love to have you back. And so I am now, 6 months later, back working for the magazine full time and a part of the family again. And I'm so thrilled to be here.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yes, that was a mouthful.
No, I love that story, and I think we can attest to Rick. He's such an amazing man, and he's been very kind to us, and just hearing our story about the podcast and hooking us up with you, right? Like he knew we would all get along, which I
remember
thought
like
was
calling
so
you
cool.
guys after I spoke to him. Like it was a Friday evening, and I think we talked for over an hour, and I was still like, I got off the phone, I was like, I think we're getting bamboozled. Yeah. I was like, I don't actually still know if this is like the real guy that
really?
I Googled.
Is this really him? Yeah.
Well, that's the amazing part about working for a small,
Very weird.
owned family company, but it has been so successful and has been in the market for so many years that you look at them and you're like, they're this big, giant corporation, and
Why is he
they're
calling us?
doing so well. But but they have this family
It's been great.
aspect of it too, where it's him and his wife Pam, and Pam, is the HR person, the accounting person, and then their 3 boys are all amazing. And I've seen them now grow up over the last 10 years. And one of them is our digital guy. One of them is a sales rep with me. And they've also seen me go through having a son and being in radio and then being in a different role and then going through a divorce, and still so happy to have me part of the team. And Rick makes a joke about me because he says, oh, she does it the Frank Sinatra way. And everyone, tilts their head.
Yeah.
She does it her way. And I appreciate that he still wants me on his team, whether I do it his way or my way.
I love that.
And I think when he saw me from the first time I went to one of his events, he was like, I want her on my team. And I wanted to be part of that family. And I'm so thrilled to be there and part of it. And I want to continue to grow the Northshore Magazine brand and bring everyone along for the ride.
Maybe I love that.
I love that.
So sweet.
I do want to hate this term. Circle back. You moved around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, how, like moving around, having to start over in each new city, like how
So when you're
how do you even do that? Like, was it isolating? Like that's crazy.
yes and no. So yes, isolating, and not at the same time. When you're in the hockey world, you get thrown into different cities, and the benefit is that you're part of a team. So the players have either wives or girlfriends or boosters, if you will, that will help get you toilet paper and show you the restaurants, and they'll help you get set up with a house. And it was really fun, actually. When you're 22, you're like, oh, well, we just went from Anchorage, Alaska to Stockton, California.
Right.
And I remember moving, I'm not kidding, moved to Anchorage with all my snow stuff, and we got traded to Stockton, California. It was like right before Christmas. And so I said to my ex, I was like, I'm going home, I'm repacking, and I'll meet you in California. So we moved to Stockton, and we make this joke because we lived in all these cities that are very similar or follow the story of the Sons of Anarchy. Like, we were in Stockton, California. We played in Bakersfield. We lived in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I'm like, is the show following us, or are we following them?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But all these minor league hockey teams are in these armpit cities.
Yeah.
So the benefit is you have this team behind you. Whether it's the players, it's the wives, it's the girlfriends, it's the group.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
I know, that
So
is
got, like, the
sweet.
group.
It's like
It
an
was
instant
fun.
family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how supportive the jobs I had that were there. I have to admit something. When I was in Wichita, Kansas, I was working in radio. It's bizarre.
So random.
I know. And when the boys were away every other weekend for their games, and sometimes you could go to them. I tried to always fly to the Vegas games because those were fun. But I remember there was a girlfriend from the team, and she worked at Hooters. So I worked at Hooters also every other.
Awesome.
And I don't have Hooters to work there.
Wait, is the Hooters on Route 1 still open?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's where we're going after.
Definitely.
We're
Yes,
going there
please.
after. Let's go.
But it was so you got jobs and you did it and you
my God, I'm
learned from
dying.
it.
Yeah.
I still
You
have,
just grinded.
yeah. But I still have friends from all over the place that we stay in touch through, social media, and it's great. And I wouldn't have gotten my start in radio had I not been young enough and been, desperate for a job and learning what to do. And
Yeah, like everything kind of happens for a reason.
yes. So as much as, there was despair and tragedy along the line.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Okay, so you say that, and I'm going to transition to the next tough question. So you talked about your ex, and you are divorced from this man, and I think we wanted to really like lean into that in this episode, right? Because like we always talk about our marriages, and we have listeners who are going through divorces and who are single moms, and so we want to lean into that. And so I'm gonna ask you a hard question.
Boy.
Was there a moment that you knew your marriage was over?
As I breathe in deeply, there were many moments that I had to question myself and question what I was doing and question this person. And I can say that now from a place that is totally different. If you had asked me this question 5 years ago, which is even crazy to think that way.
Yeah.
Because I started dating him at 19.
That's
we
so
were
young.
So young.
We were at UNH together, and we
gosh.
did get to travel the world together. And part of your isolation question, one of the things that I think I actually loved a lot about our relationship was he was off playing, and I got to have my own life. I got to have my own job and my friends, and he got to do that too.
Right.
And so then when we were together and married, we both still had our freedom in. He got to go play men's league, or he got to do poker night, and I got to do my friends' things. But once you have a mortgage and a baby and full-time jobs and a nanny and aging parents and dogs, you really need that person to be there to rely on and support. And I never wanted to be the person that said, you can't go do something that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I never wanted that for me. If I want to go spend all the money on getting my hair done, I don't want you to judge where I am or what I'm spending my money on.
For sure.
And vice versa. But then when the money starts going away and the jobs start to not continue, you have to start asking these hard questions, or they're not showing up for you. And now your friends are asking the questions and your parents are asking the questions. That's when it gets really hard, and you're starting to make up lies to cover for them. And I remember thinking, I can't tell my friends or my parents until I'm ready, because once you say something and you
feel like
dump all over them,
you feel like that's it.
then your friends are on your side.
Yeah, you can't go back. You can't take it back.
And that's what's really tricky. And I knew once I started, bad mouthing my husband, it's not going to come back from them. My friends are going to be on my side, as they already were
for sure.
Getting there.
Of course.
I totally hear what you're saying, and
thank
you for sharing that, because I bet there's people out there listening who are going through that right now and who could totally relate to that.
Well, and that's what's hard, because when you're with your girlfriends, especially with Mom's Night Out, we tend to never say all the good things that our partners are doing.
That's so true.
You don't hear that they brought you coffee, they brought in the mail, they took out the trash.
No.
They paid the mortgage.
You're the worst.
You know what? I
dads?
love that you're saying that, because like my husband helps us edit this podcast, and he'd be like, "You guys are just ripping on us the whole time," and I'm like, "Oops, super sorry."
Well, that's what's kind of difficult, because you get together with your girlfriends because you know that they're going to also sit in the shit with you, and they're going to say, "Oh yeah, well he didn't do this and he didn't do that," but you have to remember to say all the good things, even that are that you don't talk about.
It's such a good piece of advice.
Well, and that
really is.
Well, now I can say this because I'm out of it.
Yeah.
But I just, part of back to the hockey player thing, they are put on this pedestal, and they are taken care of. They are college is being paid for. Their flights are being paid for. The hotels, their housing, their food, they have fans, they have people that are willing to help them and get them through everything they can possibly do so they can be the best that they can be. And when you take that away, to now have to go do a real person job outside of being a professional athlete, which is that's a challenge in itself, but having to drive to an office in a suit and sit there on a computer and answer phone calls is a different world.
It's life changing.
It is. And I think it was
different.
We have our, postpartum hormones and emotions. I think he had this post hockey what do I do with my life thing.
Yeah.
And
well, that was his whole life, like
imagine that.
Exactly.
forever.
Yeah. And not that, and I just took a long time to think about this because I felt like you don't love me, you don't love your kid, and you don't want to help us, and you don't want to support us. And it wasn't that. It was what was going on deeper than that. How am I gonna get a job? And then feeling badly that he didn't make it, or feeling badly he couldn't make it the job, or feeling badly he can't support.
For sure.
And unfortunately, in that minor league level, there's drugs, alcohol, gambling, girl, all the things.
Yeah.
All the vices that you could possibly have.
Yeah.
So it's everything else is pulling at you. And you're thinking, okay, if I just bet one more thing, I could get $20,000 and save the family and I'll be the hero. Or if I just do whatever it might be. And unfortunately, all I needed was just an inch of that energy to be put towards what I thought was important.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was tragic. And you can't communicate that because you think one way and they think another way. And you can't, you're trying to explain it, they're trying to explain it, and it's like two drunk babies trying to talk to each other. Like, no, it's awful. So
I think some people can relate to that though.
Oh
yeah.
I agree.
And so I remember the moment for me is you can take so much abuse, and not physical or emotional abuse, but just like you can take so much. Okay, one more job, one more payment, one more. We can just keep going, whatever it is, one more fight. Yeah. It was my dad had recently had like a surgery on his hand, and my dad was helping take my son to the doctor's office and then get his prescription. And meanwhile, my ex had just got a job, and he was supposed to be working remotely. And so I was like, the benefit of working remotely is you can do this. You can take him to the doctor's office. And he said he couldn't. And I was like, okay, whatever. It's a brand new job. I don't want him to screw it up. And I remember my dad thought he was like gone off to work, and he hadn't, and he just left. And meanwhile, my dad had done this whole like, I'm going to the doctor's office, getting the prescription. And meanwhile, my son's in a car seat at the time. So he's got a broken hand. He had just had surgery and can't like even buckle. And my kid's huge. Like I think at the time he was only 2 or 3, but was a giant kid. So
Dad's an athlete.
Yeah. So I remember having a conversation about, why aren't you helping my dad? What's happening? And he was like, go screw yourself. And it was the disrespect towards my family that had helped us time in and time out, and was helping with a sick kid. And that was it. That was the day I was like, you're out. You can find a new place to live.
That was the moment.
Yeah. It was the disrespect towards my parents, even though I don't think he actually meant to disrespect my parents.
He was going through his own thing.
Yes. And that was it. It was towards me, but I took it as, oh no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to me. You cannot do it.
But there was like, I guess like that's the thing. Like there was like this eye-opening moment for you, because maybe someone listening is like wondering.
And it could be anything. It's just whatever that triggers for you. And I remember I also,
you knew.
Backstory, I had taken care of my dad. He had stage 4 throat cancer while I was like living abroad, and I moved home and took care of him. And so I feel like I had put so much time and effort and energy into my family, and then they did the same for me, and they've been my support system. I wouldn't be able to do my son or myself without them. Yeah. So that ultimately that was it. And it was like, and we're done. And I remember thinking after the fact, I was like, oh my God, I just really do that. But having this weight lifted off my shoulders, I can breathe again, and I don't feel like I have to walk on eggshells in my own house.
Like there was that moment, and it was like, boom.
It was so
probably so much clarity.
Freeing. Yes. And then the work starts.
The reality set in.
Yes. Now I have to communicate, which I've been avoiding communicating for the last 3 years.
I know.
Great.
That's the hard part. Okay. So you mentioned that you had a young son. He was 2 or 3 at the time when all this was happening. So how did you manage this huge life transition with such a little one?
So at the time, we had just sold our house in North Andover, moved back into my parents' house in North Reading. So I was very lucky at the time to have my parents be there. And he was only in preschool. So I could go to work and he could go to preschool kind of whenever.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
helpful.
yes, you should be there at a certain time, but it wasn't like a hard kindergarten school time.
Yeah, you're not like having to sign them into the office being late.
Yes, exactly. So that was really helpful. And then being on the morning show, I could go to work. I have to leave by 5:30 and be there by 6 and be done by 10:30. Sometimes I'd have appointments after, but I could come back home and now he's at daycare. My parents have taken him to daycare, and I can either sleep, work, and then go pick him up and have the rest of the afternoon with him. So timing for me ended up being on my side.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic hit, we were home anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was huge. And then going into kindergarten and new jobs and everything else, then that started to get difficult. But having my parents was so helpful. Like I said, I grew up in North Reading. My friends, a lot of their parents, and now all live back there too. Having them, and now starting in kindergarten in North Reading, the new support system I have for now through grade 3 has been unbelievable. I can't tell you how fortunate I am. And you guys have each other, which is...
I know.
Yeah.
Having
I
that
know.
support system is so important, right?
just to say, I'll drive by and pick them up. I'll drop them off. I'll get you whatever.
Yeah.
Just have something to vent to as well. Just to
I
be like,
know.
I had a shit day.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you're stuck at work, hey,
I know.
Mandy,
Someone
can
help.
you grab my
Yeah.
kit? Like, that's amazing to have
Well,
have those people.
The moms are different because we offer continuously.
Yeah.
True.
Which we...
Are
as much
you
as-
accepting of help, or
Yes.
are you like,
Yes.
I can do it all myself?
I used to do it all myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of it.
I can relate.
And I remember at one point too being very thin, and my doctor saying something to me like, "Are you okay? Because you need like a granola bar. You want a snack?" And I'm like, "I'm not that thin." And she's like, "Yes, but you're not taking care of yourself." And between my doctor saying that and one of the things that the therapist had said, now the reason I had gone to a therapist was to communicate with my ex together. We sat there together to have her say, you talk.
That's amazing.
Which I highly recommend, because otherwise you're just talking in circles. She said, when you're on the airplane and they have the masks down, they say, put it on yourself before they put it on somebody else. You cannot save your child if you are dead.
Yeah.
So I had to learn and had to remind myself of that over and over and over again, because if I am not taking care of myself, my body, physically, emotionally, mentally, I cannot take care of another human being and give them everything. I can give them a lot,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be my full self.
And you didn't even know you were doing that. Like, you were just in survival mode.
That's exactly it. And you don't also know you're in survival mode until
Yeah.
your doctor's looking at you saying, honey,
Yeah.
or you're writing out that form that says, do you feel like killing yourself? Do you feel like killing somebody else? Do you feel like how much do you drink? Whatever it is. And you're like, oh yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
I'm trying for help. Can you see I'm in the red?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I feel great. I'm doing excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you see the transition, the transformation, of course it takes years, which is annoying, but
I know.
you look back at yourself and you're really proud.
You should be really proud.
Should be proud.
Thank
And
you.
I remember probably our second conversation, we were talking about your son and like how he's come through this. And I think a lot of people sometimes stay together because they're like, oh, I'm staying together for the kids.
Yeah.
I hear that a
And
lot.
what you said to me, I was like, oh my God.
Like they're more resilient than you think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Part of the doing it at a younger age, I will say, they don't remember a lot,
Yes.
which is both amazing and devastating, because my son doesn't remember my old house. And I'm like, the house that I paid for and all the memories we made there.
Yeah.
And that was when you were in a diaper in your beautiful baby nursery, and the dog and the walks and the neighbors, all that doesn't really remember. But at the same time, those memories aren't our future.
Right.
And I'm happy that he doesn't have to remember when we were in a great place.
Yeah.
He only remembers the good things.
Well,
Yeah.
he's
He
getting the
remembers
best version
his
of you
life now.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's,
Yes.
and he's getting the best version of his dad now too.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is so much more important, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And I think it is very scary, and it's very terrifying to do it on your own, but you can do it, especially if you have support. Now, that's the one thing I will say. If I did not have my parents and I had 3 kids, I might be in a different situation.
What are you saying?
Looking over on that side of the room. Just kidding.
No. But I think that you have to learn then a different approach. You don't have to leave necessarily, but you might have to reevaluate or recommunicate differently.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, and I knew in my situation, there was things that I could not change and he didn't want to change for himself. And I can't make someone change. Yeah. I can't.
I love that advice, right? Yeah. Because I feel like as women, we feel like we can fix people. Mm-hmm. That's my like Achilles heel. I'm like, I'm going to fix everyone. Mm-hmm. Or
you're like, here's some Rick Rubin or Mel Robbins podcast.
All the people that need fixing come to me, right? But as women, we are like that. And what you just said is like amazing advice. You can't make someone want to change, right? Mm-hmm. Like they have to want to change on their own. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Until they're ready to then make the change for you. Yeah. And it's not a huge change, but I needed him to show up for me and he wasn't showing up for himself. And I needed him to show up for himself first before he could show up for me. And that is a long process to go through. And that's not what I chose.
So also, I want to switch gears a little bit. You said that like you guys are in a really good place now. Yeah. So like, can you just share a little bit about that? Because I think that's important, right? For maybe the woman who's going through a divorce or who's in a bad place with their significant other. And like, did you ever think you would be in the place that you're at now?
If you had said this again, like when I remember screaming in the parking lot in Reading outside of Bunratty's before we were going into therapy, just stomping our feet, yelling like, we're going to get arrested for this behavior. That was the one and only time, by the way, we ever fought like that. And now we can call each other and talk about, oh my God, my son did this today. And he's like, that's so great. Send me a picture. Or
that's amazing.
He is a coach for Reading High School. They just had a state championship game that they're going on further. And I can have my son be dropped off at the game to watch his dad coach, which he is more proud of that than anything. And I can have his girlfriend drive him home to my house.
That's amazing.
So now we're in a situation where I can have my boyfriend and his kids, my ex and his girlfriend and her kid, and me and my son all together, which is amazing.
That's incredible.
That really in the same place. Now there's days where it is nauseating or there's, we have to talk about money or plans and it's a pain in the butt. But having that moment of us all be together, and I know that my son is just being loved by more people now. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Like, I'm going to cry.
That is a really good perspective that you have on it, because that's how you kind of have to look at it. Yeah. Like there's more people to love your son.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's amazing. And I'm very grateful that his girlfriend, she came to my son's birthday party and she saw that I was a chicken with my head cut off, like trying to plan things. She goes, what can I do? What can I help with?
Oh, that's amazing.
And I'm like, great, very nice. Do this. And then she's like, do you want a drink? I was like, yep, let's do it. Oh,
that's so cool.
So we can do that now. But there's obviously other time.
It took a lot of work and time, but testament to you and like, hey, light at the end of the tunnel. Like you can get there, everybody.
Yeah. Put the work in.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to take another left-hand turn. Because obviously, you were dating.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be. So we recently asked for viewers, like, give us like a worst date. Doesn't have to be
like, did you go on a lot of dates? Did you have to go on a lot of dates, or did you
find your like new boyfriend pretty shortly thereafter? Or you don't have to answer.
Okay, well, I'll give a quick synopsis. So right after my ex, I went back to a guy that I dated in high school. It was like he had a daughter, and he didn't have a relationship that worked out. So it was like, that was easy. We had kids. We also knew each other's families already. It was like, oh, we'll just pick up where we left off. Yeah, right.
Bad idea.
Well, in theory, it's a great idea. Yeah. We're all friends together. We all hang out together. Our kids already knew each other anyway. But yeah, neither one of us were ready for the emotional baggage that came along with it. And I remember him saying, he's like, I definitely don't want kids. I don't want to get married again. I don't want to do this. All these things that were a hard nose. And I was still so fresh. I didn't know what I wanted yet.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm still young enough that I can do all these things again. Yeah. And I remember thinking, okay, well, he doesn't want that. I'm going to go find somebody that does. And then, no joke, the next person I dated, He was single, had never been married, never had kids. And one of the first things I said to him was like, I'm never getting married. I'm never having kids again. To him, to this new person. So I took.
Now you're a hypocrite.
No, yeah, 100%. I did a complete flip. But, and now I'm thinking, I want the single guy that's never, like, doesn't have kids and doesn't have all the baggage that I had thought that I didn't like. And now I'm like, oh, he has no idea what I'm going through. Just no idea. Friggin' clue.
Yeah.
He'd be like, let's go and drink every day. And he's a bartender. And
like, how could you relate?
Yeah.
No,
and I'm like, no.
I have fun to bed. Child.
Yes. But now, because he didn't have kids, he was like way too in my space. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm being smothered.
I could see that. Like,
smothered.
You might have liked that before you had kids, but now being a mom, you're like, get away from me.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to sit here and read my book.
I'm touched way too many times all day long.
Get out of
here. I know. So now of course, I mean, I love attention. And that was too much attention. And
poor guy.
Oh, I know. I honestly put him through the ringer.
God bless him. This guy, he looks like a little puppy dog.
Yes. Actually, that's exactly
He's
what I was
definitely listening to this podcast episode, just so you know.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yes. Yeah.
And you'll get a message.
He has like, Google alerts on you.
On the stage 5 clinger.
Well, it was guy. That I know. So that was the next person. Then I went on like a couple dates with some other people that just when you've gone, now they had been married and been divorced and had kids. When you're at this point, you're like, okay, I can see the writing on the wall. I don't need to spend extra time with you. Like, and you can both make the decision together. Almost like, yeah, it was cool, but like, we're not going to continue this.
Can move through it quicker.
Yes, way quicker. You have no time for it. And your feelings don't get hurt. You've already been through the shitstorm. You do not care. You're like, okay, cool. I'll see you at soccer.
Well, that was kind of one of our questions,
I love
right?
that.
Yeah. Seriously.
Like,
Do you think being a mom gives you a new perspective in dating?
100%.
Yeah.
And it's better if you're dating a dad also that's been through it because they can say the same thing. Unless they're like looking for a helper. Like
also, I've heard through the grapevine that dudes dig moms.
Well, I think
that's like a thing.
Yeah.
Like even dudes that don't have kids.
Like guys are into moms. That's a thing.
Oh, I think that's true. I think younger guys, 100% are like, oh, we want someone that's like gonna boss us around. You know, it's like the daddy complex, but the other side, it's like
that's awesome.
But so to wrap this up, the guy that I ended up meeting.
Katie, Mandy, and Jenny just
we have so many questions we can't ask you right now.
We gotta stop the recording.
I know this is a off the record.
Yeah. We'll come back here when we finish the episode.
But
sorry, John, Mike, and Bryce.
Oh yeah, they're asleep, right?
Yeah, they're fine.
But the guy that I'm dating now, we've been together for 2 years.
Wow.
He's got 2 kids. He's been through it. He's amazing. I can't say more on how supportive he has been of me through the radio show, through other jobs, through stuff with my ex. Like, he was there for it all, and he's been there with my family and his family, and we've been able to do a good job of like having our kids together but not having it separate and making it work. And I can't explain why, as we all have this like the it factor. You're like, it works.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And it's
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Congrats.
Yeah, like
That's
both
amazing.
professionally and like personally.
You
had to like really in the past, 5-6 years, you've completely been in a different spot. And
even less than that, like you totally reinvented yourself. That's insane.
How I feel too, which is great because when I first met the guy I was dating, I remember sleeping at his house the first time you sleep over, and I was just crying. And he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's totally cool." And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm supposed to like be here, not be here. Do I feel guilty for not being at my house? Do I feel guilty for not being with him? Like, I remember just not knowing what was going on.
But he didn't care.
God.
He
He didn't care
accepted
at all.
it
It
all.
was so great, and he saw right through that, and was like, "I love you for you," and vice versa.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Actually, he and I were together when I first ran into Rick at the Sunset Club on Plum Island.
Stop it.
And we were
okay.
we looked at each other and we're like, "Wait, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And
you're like, I'm on a date. Shh.
yeah. Well, so Rick hadn't even known what I had gone through, and
oh my god.
So then we're like, "Well, let's get together. Let's talk and let's make this work."
Wait, that's like a
Oh,
great.
that is
That's
amazing.
yeah, that's
Great
the universe.
transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
to like,
Please.
So the Northshore Magazine.
Yes.
Guys, I have like I
Mandy's the number one reader.
I am the number one reader.
We love this number one fan.
I have been to many of the Bonds events. I've done
They're
like, the
excellent.
Same.
Same. I've been to a few.
I'm sure I was there at the events you hosted.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
But yeah, no, it's a great resource for like non-super kid like events. Like it's like a little bit more like if you're looking for
like
a
date
fun,
night.
like a
Yeah.
date night
Or mom's
a
night
mom's
out.
day. Like it's nice and refreshing to have like a different avenue to go to look for fun new restaurants or fun new places. So I do love it.
Exactly.
So
it's our Bible.
it's your
You
Bible,
know?
I feel
Right?
like.
Yeah, we brought it
Give us-
tonight.
Can you give us like a quick intro of the North Shore brand?
Well, yes. I mean, like I
Even though I
said,
just kind of
I
summed up
said
why I
before,
like it.
but Rick and Pam and the Settler family, they're absolutely amazing. They've been in the publishing business for decades, and they've had such a great staple with Nancy Berry, our editor. She has done an amazing job of going out and seeking all the things that are new, premiere on the North Shore, from a gym or a kid's place or a brewery,
And they're
restaurant.
all top notch.
Yes,
I
and
agree.
that's-
Yeah.
They
You guys
really
vet the
are.
places.
It's like a good Bible.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
looking for a date night spot or anywhere, like pick that up.
Well,
Yeah.
we're very fortunate to not only have such great places on the North Shore, but living here because you can go from
Yeah. Agree.
our Linfield Market Street in the backyard to have this open air shopping center that has some staple bigger restaurant chains, but also the owner operated places.
Yes.
And then going to Burlington is almost like you're going to a mini Boston. You're going
so
to
true.
Capitol Grill and you're going to Moo. And then you can go to Essex and you're on the beach and you're getting the best clam
so
chowder at
true.
Woodman's. And you go to
Yeah.
Gloucester, which is, another whole part of the state, but you're only driving 30 minutes.
It's so true.
And you're at the Beauport, at the Oyster Bar, looking out and
I
thinking
know.
that
But like the curated articles that Northshore Magazine does are so good when it's like the 10 best places to get like clam chowder.
exactly.
Or like,
well, I
don't
know you just had that.
Yeah. Or like there's always like,
Mandy.
there's like the 10 best places for a staycation. You guys, you know, I'm
I know.
really
Well,
into
and
staycation.
our favorite brewery, Twisted Fate,
Twisted
like
Fate.
you just did a big article on
Yeah.
those guys. We love those guys.
So it's like, yeah.
Well, we've got good people on our team between our editor and our writers and then our salespeople. I mean, we are out in the field every day. And I mean, I'm going from Portsmouth to Newburyport to Gloucester, as far out as probably like Lowell, Acton. And that's the other thing. Granted, the North Shore specifically should be, the ocean-ish, but we consider it all the way to like the 495 belt. Like I'm going to say
yeah.
out to like Andover, Lowell, Billerica, because to us, that is our North Shore. Like we're only a 30-minute drive to the
Yeah,
beach, an
I
hour to
agree.
the beach at the most. And so anything North Boston, I think, is in our playing field. And they used to have their offices in downtown Andover. So we have a lot of great Andover clients too. And now with Lafina and Privé down there, those are such great
love those spots.
Yeah.
fancy restaurants that you feel like you're $1 million walking in.
Yeah.
And
You do.
now we're in Newburyport, which we're right off of State Street. We have a walking distance. I mean, the Grog, the Black Cow, Agave, Porta Vida, the Point, like you
so
name it.
fun
We
there.
have a place for everybody.
My husband and I went to the Grog like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and Mandy was raving about it. And
what happened?
Mandy's a tough critic. She loved it.
Oh, that was different. The Grog is like literally like a pub.
what was what was the restaurant you
Um,
went to?
I don't know if you guys are sponsored by them. Settler in Salem. Unreal.
Oh, I don't know that. Oh,
She's like, I'm
That's
calling
right.
them
Yes.
tomorrow.
I gotta go.
No, that was honestly one
Yeah.
of the top 10 restaurants I've ever been to.
Whoa.
And I am like
in
a very Settler in Salem.
Okay.
I'm a very tough critic.
But then you went to the Grog after?
Different date night. We go on a lot of date nights.
Yeah, Mandy and her date nights,
Yeah,
man.
the Grog. We went to the Point and then I think to the Grog
Yeah.
after.
well, they're
fun.
all
wanna do
good.
that.
And problem here's my issue is
on the
now.
wall pub. It was great.
Oh yeah, I want to be a regular everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just don't have enough time
I know.
to do that.
I know.
That's the number one struggle that I have because
Yeah.
being in this industry too, I feel like you have to like make face at all
Yeah.
the places. And I live in North Reading, so I go to Teresa's in North Reading, and I can support them and be there as much as I can. But then I also work in Newburyport. I need to be in the Newburyport restaurants, but I also have to be in Woburn, Winchester, Burlington. And I think I mentioned Sonio to you guys before. We had our holiday party there.
We love that.
So good.
Yes. They took me for my birthday last year.
Sonio is fabulous.
Fun fact, we love the bartender Kevin there. So shout out to Kevin.
Kevin.
He's
I
the
love
bomb.
it.
Where do you go for Mom's Night Out? What's your go-to?
Oh yeah. So this probably is not allowed, because when I first was going through my separation, one of my girlfriends, she was doing it at the same time. I mean, she and I went to Kitty's in North Reading. It's
Yep.
Stop
They
it.
have a big car show there.
Yes, they do.
My father's always there is it Thursdays?
Yes, Thursdays in the summer. So growing up in North Reading, it was like a stable. You had like
All right, so we're going there after this.
But I wouldn't go there if you want that's not in Northshore Magazine. Okay. That is not, but it is a home favorite place for me. But with and my North Reading friends, I'm like, let's go to Kitty's. Like, no, we'll go to Polana's, we'll go to Daniela's, we'll get dressed up and we'll go out. But we love Teresa's. Like, seriously, that's one of our favorite places.
Teresa's is good.
We've gone to Maggie's Farm. We've gone to Tono in Wakefield. There's the one in Gloucester.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Mandy,
good.
we had a date night there with the guys.
That was very fun.
That was a fun night. That was
we're trying to work on the next date night to go, not date night, Mom's Night Out. Same thing. If you're dating your friends.
Yeah.
To go to Marble Ridge Winery. It's in North Andover.
Oh.
It's a newer winery that they opened up. It's a young guy. He's like similar age to us, and they're making wine there, and they have like little
go.
Airbnb type places, but just to do something different.
Yeah.
We want to do different things, and I'm constantly trying to force my friends to come ski with me or do some road race, and they're like, can we just drink in our living room? No, we're going out. We're experiencing.
Yeah, we gotta go out.
And we want, we want to flirt with guys and make them buy our drinks.
Exactly.
Amen to that.
So, there's so many places on the North Shore. I can't even put them all in. Like I said, Essex, Woodman's, but we wouldn't go there.
We love
Woodman's.
But in the summer, that's like our summer
vibe.
staple.
And they have live music. So we
Yeah.
had family visiting last year, and we took them to Woodman's, and at the upstairs, it was like literally just me and my family and my extended family, and there was a guitarist, and it was unreal.
Yeah.
And we let people there. It was like a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's
great.
so fun.
Actually, and I'm really proponent to going out on weeknights too, because
Same.
we have enough, athletic.
Yeah, you're busy on the weekends with all your kids' events.
I'd rather do a Tuesday night.
That's how we do.
At
Thursday,
Sonio,
Mom's Night Out.
or at the Beauport, or at Tuscan. Actually, all of the Tuscan properties are amazing. Between Burlington, Boston, Salem, New Hampshire, Newburyport, you can't miss.
I'm telling you. So people who are local and listening, just go to the North Shore.
Yeah, and so
actually, yes, and go to the North Shore Magazine Instagram page. We are constantly listening.
I'm telling you, yes, those articles.
We have an event coming up.
Yes, we were just going to ask. What's the next event?
Like, give us some of the
Tell
quick
the
events,
people.
and then we'll send
I will
them.
tell you the event. So coming up March 21st, it's our Ageless Beauty event. It's going to be at the Academy at Penguin Hall in Hamilton, Wenham, and it's 5:30 to 7:30. There's going to be an open bar with your ticket that you buy, and there's going to be past apps and crudité kind of things. And
all right, we're going.
yes,
So
you have to
fun.
come. And there's going to be experts from the beauty industry. So we're going to have a panel of some speakers. I believe we're having someone from Interlocks, Dr. Petropolis, I think someone from Body Science as well. Forgive me if I'm not saying them all correctly, but we have a lot of beauty professionals that are going to come talk about the trends. There's going to be great giveaways. There's going to be great,
You heard it. You heard it here first, Mom's Night Outers.
Yeah.
But, stay on top of our social media, because that's where our events are going to be. And because of the pandemic, we really stopped doing them. And now we're back and better than ever.
I
We're going to be
cannot
doing
wait for
14
Bonds.
this year. Yeah, Bonds is, it's the prom of the
Yes.
North Shore. I can't tell you. It's the most exciting. You get a limo, you get dressed up, you get to eat, you get to drink, you get to be with all your friends, you get to dance.
Yeah, we're going.
It is
Ooh.
the best.
And you have
When
the
is
golf.
this event?
Oh, yes.
outing?
We have the golf outing
Save
coming
the
up
date.
Monday, June 3rd, whatever that first Monday is.
Yeah.
And that is a party on every hole. I'm telling you.
We're new golfers, so we'll be there.
Last year we were giving out Oakleys as part of the, gift bags. We had Ghost
Whoa.
Tequila, A&B Burgers, the Beefy Boys truck.
Wow.
Tito's vodka. Every single hole has something to do.
All right, I got to line
I mean,
up.
DJ
after
Chris
school care
Rocks
for
is going to
that
be
day.
there. Yes.
Mandy
You're
already
taking
booked
off
the
work.
babysitter.
You're getting an Uber. And we're going to.
True.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, you can just walk on down or bike on down to my house, and then we'll.
Well, right. It's
since
in
you're my
Linfield at
neighbor.
Ferncroft Country Club. It's down the street.
I love it.
So, yeah,
right.
please.
Good transition. Talking about cocktails and drinks.
Ooh, okay.
What we're gonna close with some fun questions.
Yes.
Oh, we're already done?
I feel like no. I feel like
Okay.
what
We've
is your drink of choice? Like what do you order?
So, as a product of the late 80s, early 90s, Sex and the City was my show. So, ordering a Cosmopolitan
Stop!
is
That's Jenny's
Me
drink of
too.
choice.
Yes.
You guys, I can't get
Guys,
out of here.
they're so good.
I did
Give
order
them
a
a chance.
Cosmo the other night.
What? I
Wasn't it
can't.
so
Really?
refreshing?
Where?
I'm
Oh,
outnumbered
you didn't
here.
like it.
No, we were in Lake Placid. It was at Smoke Signals, which was
Mandy was on
fantastic.
vacation for all the listeners that get mad about how
Shocker.
often she goes
Shocker.
on vacation.
Well, okay, the Black Cow in
Shocker.
Newburyport has most fantastic
Oh.
Cosmos because they have the big glass and they're so frosty. They're so
Oh.
good.
That's the
Yes.
key, the frosty
Yeah.
glass. I
And the
agree.
big one. I feel like you get like a little baby glass. You know?
We're
All
gonna
right,
need
am
to
I
take an
going to
Uber
have to
there,
drink
too.
a Cosmo?
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I
gonna
mean,
have to.
I,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's so
opposed
good.
to tequila, margarita,
Okay.
prosecco. There's most.
Got a tequila
Alcohol.
shot waiting for you over there.
Yay!
I know.
It's your
Okay,
prize
I'll
at
be
the
there
end.
next.
Okay, so what was your biggest surprise about becoming a mom?
The biggest surprise, I think, is the ups and downs that come along with motherhood. Because I was a nanny all through college, and I had 2 boys, and they're so great, and you have so much fun, and you think that, oh, it's going to be the same when you're a mom. No,
It's not.
not even close. And the emotional attachment that you have with your child is something that you can't explain to anybody else unless
Yeah.
unless
I
you're a mom
love
and you
this
know what
answer.
it's like. Because I remember being pregnant and being like, this is just me. I don't have to share this with anybody else. I have this bond. I get to feel this child. And then when they're talking and walking and they need things from you, they make you feel like you don't do anything for them and you're worthless except for being the snack bitch.
Oh my
So-
God, that's so true.
But then
Yeah.
they turn around and they have done something so amazing at school or for their friend, and they write you a card and they ask you to
Yes.
snuggle, and you can't imagine your life without that.
I love that.
know.
Hot. You're like on this roller
Yes.
coaster. You're like, oh my God.
I
Oh
know.
my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Or they
Yeah.
sneeze on you with all of the boogers, and
You're like, it's fine.
I
Yeah,
can't.
I'll, I'll lick that off my arm.
I like okay. Thank
then
you
you're like
so
sick
much
for days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I
eyeball.
cold right now?
Great.
Thank
oh,
you.
Yes. So
It's-
I think that
constantly
was
sick.
the thing that you don't realize, but also going through whether it's a divorce, whether it's a work challenge, whether it's a loss of a parent, you have this child that you have the bond with that you cannot replace, and that is your person.
Yeah.
No
They
matter
love
what,
you no
because-
matter what.
Exactly. And that's the one thing that I cherish so much about now being a single mom is that relationship I have with my son.
Yeah.
And I can look at, I'll hold his hand on the way to school. Like we just do this, like we'll grab each other's hand. We don't have to say anything. And I just know that he knows I love him. He loves me, and that's it.
Oh my God, that's so
Well,
cute.
that's
very sweet.
He's your
that's-
guy.
he's
your
my guy.
He's your number
And-
one guy.
Yeah. And he always will be. And I'll always be there for him. And that's the one thing that you can't
Yeah.
put into words. And I would do it all over again.
That's so
Yeah.
special.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like that is a very good note to end on.
I know.
I know.
Sorry to
How-
make you guys all
no,
cry about it.
how do we
No,
even?
I mean, you've been through a lot, and it's just like crazy. You know, now you're back on the up and up.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, you're killing it, girl.
Thank you.
It's so
well,
nice.
no. And it's not easy. And
yeah.
we haven't even gotten into half the backstory of anything.
I know. I hope.
We don't. Yeah, I know. It's so much time.
5 minutes.
I hope that someone listening tonight like takes your story and says like, "Hey, I can do this," and "Hey, look at her, and she's happy and she's thriving," and like, thank you for sharing this. Like, really, I
No.
feel like that was amazing.
I appreciate you guys even asking me, because to go back into that vulnerable stage of my life and to even talk about it is a little overwhelming, and embarrassing and scary, but I'm also really proud of the journey.
You're a badass bitch.
Yeah, thanks for being vulnerable with us.
I know.
Right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
And I can't wait to see where you go next. I feel like your radio and your TV personality is not over.
I think that Northshore Magazine is going to have a Northshore TV big podcast. Who knows? We got Rick.
We're into this idea.
You're going to have to talk to us on the phone again.
I know. No, but there's just so much that we can do, and the options are endless, and we just got to keep going.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I love
We can't wait to see what's next for
Thank you.
what's next
Thank
for
you.
North Shore, and what's next for
Thank
Moms.
you.
Cheers.
Northshore Magazine.
Cheers. Thanks to Mom's Night Out.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.